If they move closer, I move back. If they move closer, I move back. I maintain that buffer zone because that distance is your reaction time. Distance is your friend. The minute they get closer, now it's a matter of sheer raw abilities. And you can have a black belt or you can train BJJ or be in the UFC or whatever. And I've got stories, including personal friends of mine, that got attacked and they got waylaid because two of them were compromised walking home one night drunk when four guys attacked them. Despite their size, despite their training, they still lost.
So now, please welcome the official, non-official, non-sponsor of the Savannah Bananas, but a big fan. Please welcome John Fletcher.
Well, thank you, Jesse Cole, owner of the Savannah Bananas, and welcome to today's edition of 15 on Fridays with Fletch. Well, we're back right now with 15 on Fridays with Fletch with the most interesting guy I've talked to in a long, long time. Talk about timely, about personal safety, and also about reputation and everything, because, you get in the wrong place at the wrong time, all kinds of bad things can happen, and you can get blamed for something even though you're a victim. Happens all the time. So tell us about the importance of being alert when we're walking from the mall or from wherever we are walking to our car and we're doodling with our smartphone. Tell us about the risk that gives.
Okay, at the time of this recording, just yesterday, there was a major press conference on the steps of the Capitol building about UFOs. This Friday, Spielberg's movie on UFOs comes out and you're thinking, Jeff, where in the world are you going with this? We finally have a reason to start looking up again.
Yeah.
Because for the last 10 years, we have seemingly lost the ability to look up. I used to tell people when I started this 39 years ago, when I first started in this field talking about this subject matter, the biggest challenge back then, John, you probably remember this too, is you were telling people, hey, be aware, look around, be aware what's around you. Now, I would simply settle if they just look up. So thank God for the UFO stuff, because it's got people looking up again. If nothing else, follow that lead. But whenever you're traversing from car to building, building to car, you're going through parking lots and parking garages, that is not the time to be on your smartphone. It's not a smart idea. The phone has these incredible features. Oh, it's called voicemail. It's called texting. And by the way, you don't have to read the text as you're walking to the building any more than when you're driving. Wait till you're in the safety of your car or the building, then start responding. And not just because of violence. I was at North Park Mall over here a couple of Christmases ago. I saw 3 teenage boys walking in, 3 teenage girls in a car coming in. Those boys almost became human speed bumps because they were doing this, and the girls driving were looking at something in the phone, and they almost ran over the boys. So there again, look up. Be aware of what and who is around you. We talk about spotting trouble, but in order to spot the trouble, you have to be looking to spot something. So always have, as the military say, your head on a swivel and just start paying attention to those things. And also, I have to say this, with the advent of these earbuds, it's the same thing. I do early morning walks here in Dallas, like 4 o'clock in the morning. I go out and do a 5-mile walk 4 or 5 times a week. And the number of times I have seen people, the earbuds in, and even some young ladies out there with a full headset on, totally obscuring their hearing. I'm thinking, you are chum in the water waiting for a shark. Because you're negating one of the 2 primary senses to keep you safe, sight and sound. Yeah, you can see, but if you can't hear someone coming up on you either. So it's not just the phone, it's also the audible aspects of the earbuds and things that people are putting in and on their ears that are obscuring their ability to hear. Part of spotting trouble is sometimes not just with the eyes, but listening with the ears. You need both.
One of the things that I tell Rebecca, my fiance, is if you're walking in an area, you need to already have made the commitment, because the other person's going to do harm to you if they're going to attack you. You need to be prepared to attack his eyes or to do the throat or do something. You don't need to panic and go, I wasn't ready for this. Tell us about first initial, if somebody is attacking you, if you can't run, what is your first defense move, or is screaming that first move?
Well, light and sound are your 2 best allies. Simply put, and that came from when we back in 1988, went to the Missouri State Prison System for ABC News and surveyed 1,200 convicted rapists, got 8 of them to go on camera. And they told us, more than anything, they did not like light and noise, anything that attracted attention. I personally like those little cheap body alarms. You pull the pin and the sound goes off. Those are great for rescue. They're great for camping. They're great for rock climbing, but they're also great for joggers and other people or elderly people out there because it is ear-shattering decibels those things put out. Most of them are 15 to 20 bucks. You have a 9-volt battery and you're good for probably a year or two. So those are great. Anything that attracts attention and can yell, if you will, when you can't. Because the other part is the attacker is always going to have the element of surprise. They're going to wait. I tell folks, instead of watching Criminal Minds and CSI and all these TV shows, go back to basics. Start watching Animal Planet, Animal Channel. Because those predators that you see on 4 legs actually set the pace for the predators on 2 legs. They all look for the same things. And they all stalk their prey the same ways. They're going to wait for that moment of vulnerability before they pounce. And so there again, it's going to be a situation where you're already behind the 8 ball when they're coming towards you. You're going to have something either in your hand or ready to go. We used to tell people to take their keys, but now most of us don't need keys to the car anymore. It just opens when we get close. But you got whatever you have. If you have to retrieve it, it's no good in the moment. We'll just put it that way. I don't care what it is. If you have to retrieve it, it's no good in the moment. Even the police teach what they call the 21-foot rule. Cops are constantly told if you let someone get within 21 feet of you, they will be on you before you ever clear your service holster. Think about that. That's what they teach cops who already go into situations knowing the risk. That's what they teach them. That's not you and I being blindsided coming out of the mall, or that realtor in a property showing an open house, or that retail person or that bar person getting off at 2 or 3 in the morning, going to their car with a bunch of cash tips in their pocket. That's not them. These people are prepared going in. So there again, we're kind of behind the 8 ball, which all the more reason to what you said. Have your plan, have your route planned out, execute, get there. Don't be distracted. Don't be misdirected, and don't be subdued by a good story or seduced by a good story, because it's so easy. It's so easy to get caught off guard. And once they get within that 21 feet, and it could be one as simple as, hey, I got a question for you. I get all the time from panhandlers. When I do that and they start approaching, whoa, what you got? You can ask me from there. If they move closer, I move back. If they move closer, I move back. I maintain that buffer zone because that distance is your reaction time. Distance is your friend. The minute they get closer, now it's a matter of sheer raw abilities. And you can have a black belt, or you can train BJJ or be in the UFC or whatever. And I've got stories, including personal friends of mine, that got attacked and they got waylaid because 2 of them were compromised walking home one night drunk when 4 guys attacked them. Despite their size, despite their training, they still lost. So
imagine this. So you're walking out of the mall or the stadium or whatever the deal is. You've talked before about watching out for vans. If you're driving, don't park next to a van, and also be seeing if you can look under vehicles. Tell us about that. That's kind of, really being vigilant.
Some of that is urban myth. Other things you do need to be, I'm going to be aware of a van, but I'm also going to be aware of just somebody walking up. I had a husband and wife come up to me after a seminar, and they were both concealed carry. They said, Jeff, we got to admit, walking our car outside the mall, husband and wife, we're having an argument, blah, 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 blah. We get to the car, we're still blah, 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 blah. Get in the car, we're still blah, 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 blah. And the husband said, just as I was about to reach to close the door, yelling at my wife, this guy was standing in the gap of the open door, and he kind of knocked on and said, hey, man, obviously you guys haven't turned. I'm just wondering if you got a spare $1. He said it totally threw both of us off. Here we were, both concealed carry people. That guy totally had the drop on us. Now, all he wanted was $1, and I told him, didn't he walked away. But it shook both of us because of all the confidence we put in our training and what we had on our hips. But in that moment, he could have totally taken us off guard. So
tell us this. So an overweight guy, not too attractive, all of a sudden a really attractive woman comes up to him. Should be maybe a little bit more suspicious about that. Why is a almost a professional model coming to show up for a schlub that weighs 75 pounds too much?
It's not even that. To me, you have to ask yourself when the old scenario kicks in, where does it look too good to be true? You have to look sometimes today beyond the obvious. This may not be what you have. And you're thinking, well, Jeff, oh, man, they're actually after me. They can be a gold digger. They're not going to dig any gold. I got fool's gold. I ain't got real gold. No point in digging in my direction. But where do you work? What information or equipment or possessions or money do you have access to? Because if I can compromise you, and I can tell you the stories of femme fatales that slip Mickeys into guys' drinks as much as I can, the reverse of that scenario. And now with AI and deepfake technology, where you can make somebody seem that they're doing something that they weren't doing, that's coming into play now too. Where all of a sudden you get the call, the email that sent you pictures of you being a very, very weird, compromising situation, and you got blacked out knowing if you did it or didn't do it. But now your reputation, your career, your professional license, all that's on the line. Had nothing to do with you and your personal wealth, had to do with your professional access. So that's all the more reason if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. But ask yourself that second level, why? Why would I potentially be approached by a person like that? And how could that situation then be manipulated?
Tell us about around our homes. What precautions should we be taking, especially when we have this influx of an extra 100,000 people, and plus by the time they do all the fan events, it's probably 250,000 people that are showing up in our area. In our case, we live in Arlington. And so it's kind of literally in our backyard. So what do we do around our home?
I go back to light and noise. The two things that the experts, the criminals, told us years ago: light and noise. Anything that attracts attention, they don't like. So, whatever you can do to eliminate or not eliminate, illuminate your home and your yard, great. And the other thing is whatever can put off sound. And now they've got these things, and I've even approached cars on streets before. I'm walking past this car, and the car gives me a warning that I'm getting too close to the car. I'm like, okay, first of all, humorous. Secondly, scary. Third, hey, good for them. I like that because there again, it's drawing attention, and that voice is not soft. It's something that anybody around in the area could probably hear. So anything that lends itself to drawing attention to your yard, to your front door, the Ring cameras. But there again, if you're going to get the cameras, get the monitoring that goes with it, not just the access. If you're going to go to that extent, do the next step to make it worthwhile. But anything there. And also in that noise part, it was funny. We asked, again, we're talking to the real experts in the prison years ago, and they were telling us, when we said noise, they said, well, how about dogs? And one guy even said, I don't care if it's a Rottweiler or a Chihuahua. If it barks, I don't like it.
Wow.
For all the
That pretty
people,
well says it.
all these people that buy these really big dogs, think, oh, and there's a place for it. Hey, I love Rottweilers too. I used to have one. But I'm all for the big dogs. I love the big dogs. But at the same time, a Chihuahua can sometimes seal the deal too.
Wow. So tell us, in just kind of as we're winding down, tell us anything else that's a smart thing to be doing. You talk about being vigilant, paying attention, get away from the phone, be looking. What else do we need to be doing to be protecting our personal safety, not only with FIFA and the World Cup, but just period for this summer?
Well, obviously, the scam alerts are ongoing. They're always coming up with new. And again, the base of it is a scam is what? It's a good story. Hello. But I've seen several of them recently. I would say, just as a general rule, especially right now with the influx of people we have coming in, they're going to probably be a lot more accessing of ATM machines. I personally, if I use an ATM, even if it's somewhere, if I go to a bank, I would rather walk in the bank and access the ATM machine inside than outside. First of all, the little scam things or scanner things they put in there, less likely, obviously, going to install it in the one inside versus outside. Same thing with gas pumps and others. You want to pull a little bit on where you put your card in. Even now, they've got the things where they put an extra seal over where you just tap your card, and you have to be careful with all those. Just any points of access where you're using your debit or credit card, be extra cautious. If you're staying in a hotel, I don't know who this is reaching to, If you're staying in a hotel and you get any kind of weird call from the front desk that's saying your credit card didn't go through, they need to re-verify it or get another card, any of those kind of requests, go down to the front desk and verify it. Don't do it over the phone. There's just so many things that factor into it, but I would say where probably the low-hanging fruit's going to be for more street crime is going to be those monetary quick exchanges where your wallet's stolen, your credit card, your debit card stolen. Maybe disperse some different things around you if you're going to a large crowd event, especially your phone, because most people have everything on their phone now. So guard that with your life for obvious reasons. Just even in the last couple of weeks, there have been notices, at least in Dallas, of an uptick of pickpocketing. And you know, with FIFA coming in, there are going to be more pickpocketers coming to the area for that. So whenever you're navigating these big events out in public, keep your wits about you, which means monitor your alcohol consumption. I'm not saying don't have a good time, but don't have too much of a good time. If you're leaving the happy hour happier than everybody else there, you probably went a little bit too far. But keep everything in moderation, keep your wits about you, disperse your personal belongings, and understand all those flashy bling things are sending out signals. So if you want to go somewhere dressed to the nines, maybe take all the stuff, put it away. When you get to the venue, go to the restroom, put those things on, go out, have a good time. Before you leave, go back in, take them off. If you know your car is parked 4 blocks away, so you got to walk to her and navigate the parking garage. There's some things that I no longer consider to be common sense because common sense isn't common, but they're still good sense, and we need to apply them. Just keep your wits about you, beware of the good story, and listen and trust your instincts.
I've noticed that you get calls and somebody, and the first thing they'll ask is this John Fletcher? And I've now been coached not to say yes. So I say, this is John. Tell us about, is that a wives' tale, or do we need to be concerned about anybody trying to get us to say yes?
That, but they can also get a lot of your voice off of a simple voicemail that you've already created, and that has been done. I was taught by my brother years ago. He used to work Vice in Florida and work drug enforcement down in Florida. And so he would go on these sting operations, be gone sometimes 2 to 6 weeks at a time. And he always taught me back then, I was in college back at Florida State. He said, if anybody calls here, they say, you know, so-and-so there, who are you calling for? And why are you calling? Don't even give them your name. Don't give them any information. Just say, well, who are you calling and why are you calling? So
Lots of times they just hang
back
up.
on them. Yeah. Well, if I don't know who you are, if your number comes up on my phone, great. And I do have your number on my phone. I just missed your call this morning. But if people call my phone, I always tell them, say, you need to message me through LinkedIn or email, because if I'm not expecting your call, I do not answer my phone. I just don't.
With cloning of voices now, I was talking to he's a national speaker. He's going to be on the podcast in a couple of weeks. And he said, well, I really don't know if I should be doing, he was talking about possibly doing a voiceover for a book. And he said, but if I did that, I would, my voice would be out there and it could get cloned. And I said, well, weren't you just on a podcast before I called you? He said, yeah. I said, your ship has sailed. I said, if you were on a 30-minute or an hour podcast, I said, your voice is already out there. It's already being cloned and monetized right now. And this is a national caliber speaker. Yeah. And boy, he just was in shock. And I said, it's out there right now. And he said, I've done 20 podcasts. I said, yeah, I said, your whole fleet has sailed. And so anyway, but I said, but you can't just go live in a closet. You've got to go ahead and live your life, but you've just got to realize that you can be compromised more easily now because you're public.
I've told people for years, there's no such thing as safe. There's only degrees of safety.
Right. That's it. Well, folks, you've been watching 15 on Fridays with Fletch, featuring Jeff McKissack, the safety and reputation expert and owner of Defense by Design. Jeff, tell us how we reach you. You talked about LinkedIn. Give us the website.
Website simply defensebydesign.com. And there and LinkedIn, I do have a Defense by Design page on Facebook and LinkedIn. Best way on LinkedIn to reach me is through Jeff McKissack. And the last name is spelled McKissack, not ICK. So don't make me sick. I'm a sack. So Jeff McKissack on LinkedIn or Defense by Design, LinkedIn, Facebook, or the website.
And you're available for public speaking, but also for special seminars for businesses as well, special training, correct?
Oh, yeah. So I can tell folks, can't be bought, but I can be rented.
Okay. Well, Jeff, thanks for joining us. We definitely look forward to having you back again sometime.
John, thanks so much.